And a good spiritual morning to you once again. Thanks for joining us today for a quick chat. And of course, our morning cup of coffee.
Good morning, everybody. We hope you are having a wonderful day. We hope that the first week of Lent
is going well.
Is starting off strong.
Right, as we say, good strength.
Good strength.
For a blessed Lent. We say, Kali Dinami, good strength. As we started our Lenten journey, we wanted to, again, reflect back just a Sunday, because it was the Sunday of forgiveness, also cheese frere, so the last day that we have our cheese. But more importantly, the theme, obviously, is that we are talking about forgiveness.
Nobody wants to talk about that,
know,
Father.
It's not a popular topic.
It's a tough one.
And the thing is that anything that we're trying to accomplish in the Lenten journey, on our Lenten journey, with fasting and with prayer and with trying to perform works of charity and trying to go to church a little bit more, pray, read the Bible a little bit more, try to be a little kinder, try to be a little bit more patient with people, have a little joy. Why is that comical?
Because it's already hard what you're talking about.
I know, but we're trying to do all of that.
We are trying.
But the point is that if we have people that we have difficulty with, that we haven't forgiven in our hearts, all of those things that we're trying to do, they're going to be undermined.
It's all tainted.
We're trying to build them on a foundation that sort of isn't set. It's kind of like the cornerstone needs to be, we don't have difficulty with people. But if we have difficulty with people, then that temptation is always going to come up. It's always going to be challenging us. When we're trying to be at peace, and this is what I tell people, we have to forgive one another for a lot of reasons. Number one, because, like it or not, God's forgiveness is conditional. That's the first reason why. Because whenever
it's in the Lord's Prayer.
We say the Lord's Prayer, forgive us our trespasses.
Yep.
As we forgive those who trespass against us. So
I just don't say this.
Right. Yeah, just leave that. We can pretend Christ didn't say that one, right?
Yeah.
But he did.
Yeah.
So it's like that means we have to forgive one another the same way that that God forgives us.
Yeah. And I don't mean to laugh. I'm just laughing because it makes us uncomfortable, because it's a hard thing to do.
It is. It's very difficult to do, but it's absolutely essential.
We all know we're out there, and everybody we talk to in our family, in our extended family, and our friends, there's always people who are like, oh yeah, I don't talk to that person.
Right. And so we automatically, when we hear this thing, forgiveness and forgive people, we kind of think, well, I need to be like a supervillain and have a list of, my nemesis.
Yeah. Or like Sheldon Cooper.
What's Sheldon Cooper? You're on the list.
You're on the list.
He makes like on a floppy drive back in the 80s, and he still got it from when he was a kid. I don't know what the plural of nemesis is. Nemesis?
Let's go with that.
Nemesises. But the point is that, we don't have arch rivals. We don't have like... But you have that person that just kind of rubs you the wrong way. If you see them and you can avoid them, you'll avoid them. If you can walk the other direction, you'll walk the other direction. If you can avoid, and it's kind of like there might be something there. It's not just a general, well, I know we don't get along, so I leave them alone and I'm fine. But it might be, I start thinking about something they said to me, something they did. And all of a sudden I get this sort of icky feeling.
Yeah, it upsets you.
That sort of yucky feeling inside, that's what's undermining. I'm going to continue to undermine your joy and your peace. And so the first thing is we want God's forgiveness, so we have to forgive one another, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is we want to progress in the spiritual life. And so if we want to progress in the spiritual life, we have to know we can't carry those weights. It's a weight around your neck that's weighing you down.
It's a big piece of luggage that we're trying to carry with us everywhere we go. I'm not strong enough to do it. We got to let it go.
No, and that's the other thing. Yeah. It takes energy. To actually to hold a grudge. It takes energy to hold a grudge.
Yeah.
And it ends up hurting you more than anybody else because it takes your energy and effort.
Yeah.
It's distracting, it's derailing. It's like I'm trying to do good stuff in my life, and whenever I think about this person or interact, then there's problems. Well, because you haven't forgiven that person. So maybe we now hopefully we can all agree. I'd like to hope that we could all agree that we should forgive one another.
Yes.
And we've kind of covered that. Check that box, right? I'm hoping we can move forward with the understanding.
That you're not arguing about that point.
Right. No. I'm not going to forgive anybody, and that's okay. No. Hopefully we can agree that we should forgive one another. And now it's a matter of, okay, how do I do that?
Okay, so I was teasing him. I was thinking about this earlier, and I said back when we were younger, because we're old, that it was really hard because you either had to pick up the phone Or you had to sit down and get a piece of paper out and,
write a
literally
letter.
write a letter.
Or you had to try to go see the person.
Yeah, people weren't doing that. They're not going to do it face to face because we're not strong. We're not made of that. That takes a lot of character. That's hard. And so I was thinking, is it okay, Father, if maybe we get up the strength and with some prayers and with some help from God, you send a text or an email and you say, thinking of you, hoping you're well. Remember, we're not saying, I forgive you for being a jerk. We're not going there, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. You've sort of, you skipped ahead
right, we got to, okay, I got to the third part.
Well, you got to how, we didn't talk about this. So you got to how you're going to communicate it. But the question is, what are you going to say?
Okay.
Because that's also a challenge.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. And I wrestle with that in the spiritual life. I mean, we all wrestle with that.
We all do.
Because you know that there's some people that it doesn't matter what you say. It ain't going to go well.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable no matter what.
It's not going to be good. So there's a couple of different things to think about as you're going through the process of saying, okay, once we can agree, we should try to do it. Now, how do I do it? Well, as you said, the people that you can do it with and communicate, you should do that.
Hey, God bless you.
And if you can do it immediately, do it immediately. That just happened to me recently. I misspoke and was short with somebody, and I went right afterwards and called them down and I apologized. I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to snap at you. Misunderstanding.
Life happens.
If you can do it immediately and it's diffused, right? That's great. Do it immediately and diffuse it.
What if it's really old, though?
If it's really old and you realize you can't probably, it could be old, but it could be so old that it's kind of calmed down a little bit and it's dissipated a little bit. And maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to, as you said, reach out in a way that you could that would be less confrontational.
You're not trying to stir it back up.
No, as you said, maybe you do shoot a text. I don't know if you want to do it via email.
Okay.
Email's a little business-like, but
okay.
You can get away with texting somebody or if you can call somebody. And just sort of, as you said, just how you doing, thinking about you, hoping you're well. You don't have to
It's like an olive branch.
Yeah, don't bring up anything.
Yeah.
Don't, just sort of a little point of contact. A little point of contact to say, hey, you know what? I know you still exist. I know you're still alive. And I'm thinking about you, right? And I'm hoping that you're well. That's all you have to communicate. It's hard for a person to get mad at that. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible for them to get mad at that. I mean,
we all know.
Especially if you know Greeks. They could get mad at that. That enough could be, I can't believe he texted me. It doesn't matter what he wrote.
Yeah. What does he want?
Right. Okay, in that sense, you're not accountable for that part of it. You're not accountable for their dysfunction. You're only accountable for the fact that you've reached out, said, hey, thinking about you, hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
And fine, leave it alone.
Yeah.
And that little point of contact could be enough. Now, if you've tried that, if you've tried to communicate, you realize you can't communicate, then there's a point where you just kind of, and I've said this repeatedly, in sermons and on videos, there's a point where, guess what? And I tease you about this for myself all the time. I'm punching above my weight spiritually, right? There's a point where you're not Christ. And they're not, saint. And they're not Christ, and you're not saints. We're not saints. So all you can do is sort of say, okay, I need to take a step back. I've asked for forgiveness. I've let it go. I know that we can't interact. So now what am I supposed to do? People say, Father, what do I do? Now I say, you pray for them.
Yeah.
Now it's sort
of
at
the top of your list.
Step back and say, I'm leaving them alone because I know if I try to interact, it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
So I'm stepping back. And now I know I have to see them not as an enemy, but as a fallen brother or sister. And so the way for me to change my mentality of seeing them as an enemy, rather than seeing them as having fallen to the enemy, is I have to pray for them. Because I'll see them, if I pray for them, I see them as wounded. Right?
You're on the same team.
They're the one that has been persecuted rather than the persecutor.
Yeah.
They're not the aggressor. And so I pray for them. And that's all you can do. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to continue to engage with people and be in a sort of destructive relationship. But you have to forgive them from your heart. You can't do all of that, still be ticked whenever you think about them, sort of get upset. And it's not going to magically happen. It's a process like anything else.
Yeah.
But if you pray for them, that kind of helps the process along. I'm praying for them more and more and more. And that kind of helps me when I do think of them. My blood pressure doesn't shoot up. I don't get upset. And then when I see them, or if I have to see them, or I have to interact with them, it's okay. I can stay calm. I've forgiven them. I'm working on letting it go.
Yeah.
And I don't wish them any ill will. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I don't want anything bad to happen.
Right.
I just know that we didn't get along for whatever reason. Not everybody can get along and be best of friends.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of let it go.
I think part of the healing too is that we, like you said, we have to ask for forgiveness or forgive other people and let it go. And I think that we sometimes need something to kind of, I don't know, hold on to. And we can't. We truly have to stay focused on heaven.
Right.
And we can't stay focused on heaven if we've got all these things we're trying to carry and all this past and all these hard feelings. It's hard though. It is hard.
Challenge and a process.
It is a challenge. But I think that forgiveness is something I really, really want when it comes to my time in front of Christ. And so I have to learn how to give it out. I have to learn how to let go.
Right.
I just, if that's truly, if it's so simple as the Lord's Prayer,
it's that basic,
and we're supposed to be saying that every day, then it's not a complicated recipe, people.
No, it's not. It's something we have to, but it is a process. You don't just automatically just do it. The same way people say, I believe in God. Yeah, okay. What does that mean? Kind of like, what does that mean when you say you believe in God?
Or saying, I forgive, but I don't forget.
Yeah, I have faith. People say that all the time. Father, I forgive, but I can't forget. Yeah. Look, if you can't forget, you haven't forgiven.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying by can't forget is that the memory comes back up. What memory is it? Is it a nice memory? No, it's not a good memory. If the memory comes back and you remember and it ticks you off, you haven't forgiven.
Yeah.
So you can say that, well, I understand mentally, I know I should forgive. But emotionally, if I think about it, I get upset. That means emotionally and spiritually, you have not forgiven from your heart. You've forgiven with your brain because you know you're supposed to, because you're an adult, God willing. And those people that cannot forgive with their brains are either not adults, they're childs, or they're narcissists, or they're sociopaths. They have problems. Those people, we want to stay away from those people.
Pray for those people.
But you pray for them, and you're going along the journey of saying, how do I learn how to forgive from my heart? And in order to do that, you have to, like I said, go through a process. And part of the process, the easiest way, is to pray for them as much as you possibly can. And it helps soften the relationship. And it's going to take some time. And to realize, again, in somewhat of a self-centered way or a selfish way, you only end up hurting yourself. You're not benefiting yourself. The bad feelings you're harboring, they don't know you're harboring. You're not punishing them.
No, you're carrying it yourself.
You're carrying it. It's your blood pressure going up, not theirs. So you need to realize, okay, I don't want the anxiety. I don't want the bad feelings. And I want to move forward in my spiritual life. Otherwise, what am I doing all this other stuff for? If in the end, it all gets blown up because of one interaction at some point or one bad thought is all it takes. Now I'm derailed for days. And that can happen very easily. So the process of forgiveness, it's just that. It's a process. And it's something that we have to work on as much as we can. Know that it's necessary. That's why this is what the church is giving us as our very sort of end to the preparation for Great Lent. Now we're in Great Lent. This is the week we work on tying up all those loose ends. Say, okay, I'm fasting now. I'm going to services more. I'm praying more. I'm trying to do something, whatever it is. You can't do that and be effective if you can't be at peace. And you can't be at peace if you have difficulty with people. Try to find a way to sort out the difficulty. If you can reach out to someone and just send a good thought, do that. If you've tried that and you can't talk to them, pray for them. And try through that sort of process spiritually to move forward to get, some peace and to get closer and closer with Christ, and do that each and every day.
Amen.